Palm Springs, California mansion where Elvis Presley honeymooned with Priscilla in May 1967 is going on the market for $9.5 million.
Elvis Presley's famous Honeymoon Hideaway in Palm Springs looks dazzling on the outside, yet it still has no buyer. From Elvis's deep connection to its unusual design, new details keep revealing surprising reasons no one expected. But what did these discoveries hint at? Where a legend spent his first days of marriage. In the quiet, sun-soaked Vista Las Palmas neighborhood of Palm Springs stands a home that looks more like a dream than a building. It rises from the desert in round shapes, sweeping glass curves and wide stone walls. This place, famous long before it ever appeared in glossy magazines or guided tours, is the home that became forever tied to Elvis Presley. But its story began long before the king of rock and roll ever stepped through its doors. The house was completed in the year 1960 by the Alexander Construction Company, a development group known for reshaping Palm Springs with bold, mid-century designs. The architect, William Kreisel, was one of the greatest modernist designers of his time. His approach embraced clean lines, open spaces, and futuristic shapes. This home, built for Robert and Helene Alexander, became one of his most striking creations. Its round layout, 4 connected circular pods, flying wing rooflines, and walls of glass made it look like something ahead of its time. People soon began calling it the House of Tomorrow, a name that stuck for decades. But the home's greatest fame came 7 years later, in the year 1967. Elvis Presley had just married Priscilla in Las Vegas and needed a place where the two of them could escape from the world.
Yes, so Elvis rented this in 1966 as kind of just a getaway from Hollywood. And then when he and Priscilla got married, this is where they came to have their honeymoon.
They leased the House of Tomorrow for their first year of marriage, searching for quiet, comfort, and privacy. That stay, though short in the timeline of the home's life, became the moment that gave it its second identity, the Honeymoon Hideaway. Elvis and Priscilla spent their days surrounded by desert mountains, wide skies, and the curved rooms that made the home special. The main living area, shaped like a circle, had a sunken lounge in the center and a floating stone fireplace. The couple often relaxed there, listening to music or simply enjoying the stillness the desert provided. The curved glass walls let the sunlight pour in, making the whole room glow in the warm afternoon. The kitchen, which was also curved, was one of the most advanced kitchens of its time. It wrapped around in a perfect arc, fitted with custom cabinetry and an island made to match the room's shape. It became a little world of its cozy, private, and practical. Upstairs, the master bedroom became the most intimate space for the two newlyweds. This room sat above the rest of the home, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling glass that revealed the mountain range outside. The round bathtub in the private bathroom, surrounded by soft drapery, gave the couple a sense of retreat. In that quiet, open circular space, they enjoyed their first days of married life far away from bright lights and cameras. Although they spent only part of the year there, the story of Elvis and Priscilla's honeymoon created a myth around the home. Fans visited the property even after the couple had moved on, wanting to see the place where their idol found peace. The Honeymoon Hideaway became more than architecture. It became a piece of romance, preserved by time. After the Presleys left, the house remained in the hands of the Alexander family until tragedy struck. Robert and Helene Alexander passed away in a plane crash in 1965, shortly before the family could fully enjoy the home's growing fame. The house then passed to other private owners who continued to maintain and preserve it. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, the house saw a series of careful renovations. Some owners restored the original stone walls, while others brought back the terrazzo flooring that had once made the room shimmer in the sunlight. By the year 2022, the home went through one of its most important relistings. A major renovation had revived the circular kitchen, the glass walls, the curved lounge, and many of the original design elements.
And the current owner is kind of an Elvis junkie. There are many of them out there, and so he's restored the home to be pretty much exactly the way it was back in the 60s.
The intention was simple: to bring the House of Tomorrow back to life as close to its 1960 version as possible, while still keeping it a fully livable modern home. As its fame grew, the home became a staple of Palm Springs tourism. Visitors drove through the quiet cul-de-sac to take photos in front of the iconic stone steps. During Modernism Week, thousands admired its architecture, and celebrity home tours regularly passed by, pointing out the legendary honeymoon story. Many fans even recreated the famous photographs of Elvis standing near the stone walls or on the circular balcony. Now, the home admired by the world faces the challenge of trying to find the perfect buyer. What the home offers today. Today, the Honeymoon Hideaway stands at 1,350 Ladera Circle in Palm Springs, waiting for someone with both the vision and the resources to take it into its next era. The property sits on a half-acre lot in one of the most quiet and prestigious neighborhoods in the city. Its footprint covers nearly 5,000 square feet, shaped in the same rounded pods that made it famous. The home includes 4 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, laid out in a circular pattern that makes the interior feel like a series of connected worlds. The master suite remains elevated above the rest of the house, offering a sweeping view of the mountains. The lower pods contain the living room, the curved kitchen, guest rooms, and lounge areas. Every part of the home maintains the original style: stone walls, rounded layouts, glass that wraps around the corners, and mid-century finishes that were carefully revived during recent renovations. One of the most distinctive outdoor features is the pentagon-shaped swimming pool. It sits nestled in the patio, surrounded by wide terraces that mirror the home's soft curves. The combination of pool, glass, and mountains creates a dramatic yet peaceful setting, one that made the home popular in countless photographs and tours. Over the years, the house has seen a series of price changes as the market shifted. In the year 2022, it was listed after a major renovation for a price that reflected both the cost of the restoration and its cultural value. Not long afterward, more design work was done. Terrazzo floors were refreshed, certain circular walls were restored, and the kitchen was updated again, keeping its original shape but improving its function. By the time the property returned to the market, it carried an asking price of more than $9 million.
Palm Springs, California mansion where Elvis Presley honeymooned with Priscilla in May 1967 is going on the market for $9.5 million.
That increase reflected not only its architectural pedigree, but also its status as one of the most recognizable homes in Palm Springs. Its restoration, which blended original mid-century features with modern materials, also added to its value. One of the most unique parts of the sale is the fact that the home is offered fully furnished. Many of the curved sofas, mid-century pieces, and design elements that match the home's architecture can remain with the property. For a new buyer, this creates the chance to step directly into the world the original architect imagined. Despite the attention the home receives, it remains fully livable. The upgrades made in recent years include improved climate systems, new glass, fresh terrazzo, and restored stone. The structure retains its character while meeting modern needs. Price vs. reality. The Elvis Honeymoon Hideaway sits in a rarefied world. Its asking price is high, and that raises big questions about who could buy it. To understand why its price is such a barrier, you need to break it down clearly. First, let's talk numbers. In its most recent listing, the home was valued at more than $9 million, but that headline figure hides the true cost. When you divide that by its size, the per square foot price becomes very steep. In Vista Las Palmas, the historic mid-century neighborhood where the house stands, the typical price per square foot for luxury homes is more modest. According to recent market data, homes in Vista Las Palmas have a median sales price per square foot of about $1,350. Some very special homes in the same area have gone for even more. A large Chrysler-designed house recently sold for $7.3 million at about $1,550 per square foot. But even with that kind of precedent, The Hideaway's asking price leans on a celebrity premium. Because Elvis lived here, some of the price is about prestige, not just square footage or finishes. That celebrity factor can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can attract collectors or design lovers who care about history. On the other hand, it significantly raises the bar for what someone is willing to pay. Not every buyer is going to pay an extra premium just for Elvis's connection, especially when they also must take on other burdens, like the cost of maintenance for a very custom, architect-designed home. Which brings us to the pool of possible buyers. This house is not for just any rich buyer. It's for someone who cares deeply, someone who loves mid-century design, sees real value in celebrity lore, and understands or accepts the long-term maintenance cost of a vintage house of tomorrow. That is a very specific buyer. Many people who buy second homes in the desert want views, space, and modern convenience, but not everyone wants round walls, vintage glass, or the constant attention tied to a famous name. Then there's the financial complexity of this sale. Because the house is being sold fully furnished, that adds to both its charm and its cost. Furniture doesn't just come free. A buyer has to think about insurance, upkeep, and possibly even restoring any worn vintage pieces. If someone thinks of this as an investment or a second home, carrying costs get steep. High-value loans, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance for such a bespoke architectural object all combine into a heavy financial burden. Also, if a buyer plans to finance, getting a mortgage for a home like this may be more difficult than a typical house. Lenders might look at the value of the furniture, the age of the building, and how risky it is to insure and maintain such a property. For someone buying for personal use, the cost might feel justifiable. But for an investor hoping to flip or rent it out, the return on investment could be uncertain. In short, the pricing of the Hideaway sets a very high bar. It leans both on its architectural pedigree and its celebrity legacy. But those are not enough to guarantee a sale. Only someone who deeply values exactly what this home is will meet that price. The financial reality is real, and not everyone is willing or able to carry that weight. Why the architecture narrows the buyer pool. Part of what makes the Honeymoon Hideaway so desirable, its very soul, is also part of what makes it hard to sell. The design by William Kreisel, with its sweeping curves, circular pods, and flying wing rooflines, is not just different, it's rare. And while that uniqueness is beautiful, it also narrows the list of people who can imagine living there. William Kreisel was known for his bold vision, but also for making modernism accessible. He designed hundreds of mid-century homes, especially in Palm Springs, often combining clean lines, glass walls, and open layouts. However, this particular home is among his most daring. Its circular plan means rooms flow into each other in ways that most people simply haven't lived. Instead of straight hallways and rectangular rooms, each space is sculpted. A curved lounge, a round kitchen, glass walls that wrap around, and cantilevered roofs that stretch out like wings. That design gives the home character few others can match. Light moves in magical ways through the glass walls, and every room offers views framed by the desert or the mountains. The shape feels sculptural. The architecture feels alive, not static. For someone who loves mid-century architecture, that's deeply appealing. But for many buyers, the very same features are confusing or impractical. Curved rooms make it hard to place standard furniture. A circular kitchen means custom cabinetry and appliances made to fit odd angles. Standard sofas don't fit into round lounges, so a buyer may need to replace or custom order furniture. These customizations quickly add cost. In addition, the glass walls, while stunning, make for complications. Heating and cooling such spaces is more difficult because of the large glass surface areas and odd shapes. Regular HVAC systems may not work efficiently, meaning specialized work is required. Replacing or repairing windows means custom glass, which costs more than standard windows. Maintenance is more expensive, especially for a historic home that aims to preserve original architectural elements. Another point, modern buyers often want flexibility. They might value open layouts, but they also want the option to change or expand. The Hideaway's highly stylized design makes renovation or expansion tricky. You cannot easily add a rectangular extension or tear down a wall that is part of a circular pod. That could destroy the design's integrity. For someone who imagines modifying a house for their needs, this kind of layout may feel limiting. Original materials also matter. The house uses stone walls, specialized glass, terrazzo flooring, and other period-specific materials. Repairing or restoring these features requires experts. You cannot just call any contractor to patch a crack in a circular wall that is part of a mid-century masterpiece. That means long-term care costs are higher, and the buyer must be someone willing to commit to preservation rather than mass renovation. All this adds up. The home is not just a house to live in, but a piece of art to maintain. Its architecture demands respect, investment, and patience. That makes it magical for some, but impractical for others. Only a small group of potential buyers will truly appreciate and feel comfortable owning such a sculptural, highly designed place. Because of this, the pool of potential buyers shrinks even further. Not only must someone be wealthy, but they must also deeply value Kreisel's design, be willing to maintain it, and feel emotionally connected to the home's character. For many, the trade-off is too great, even if the price is right. Maintenance, restoration, and ongoing cost. Owning a house built in 1960 with its mid-century soul comes with a special kind of love and a very real cost. The Honeymoon Hideaway is no exception. Its upkeep and restoration are constant, and for someone to buy it, they must understand the weight of maintaining a piece of architectural and cultural history. First, consider the building itself. Many of its original features date from the 1960s. Structural shingles, flat or low-slope roofs, and single-pane glass windows. These elements require far more care than modern materials. Over time, the roof shingles can degrade, crack, or leak, especially in desert sun. Structural repairs are not simple replacements. They must be done carefully to preserve the original design. Then there are the windows. Single-pane glass is beautiful, letting in lots of natural light and offering that transparent, open feel that modernists loved. But replacing or repairing that kind of glass is expensive. Because each window is custom-sized and part of a curved architectural form, specialists must restore rather than replace. On average, restoring a historic window like these costs in the hundreds of dollars per window, with labor being a major factor. Even just fixing a crack or reglazing can require a craftsman's time and skill. And if someone wanted to replace them with modern, insulated glass, the cost and disruption rose sharply. Beyond windows and roof, the home's mechanical systems, plumbing, electrical, heating, and cooling likely still bear traces of original or era-appropriate equipment. Older HVAC systems are less efficient and more fragile. Mechanical maintenance requires parts that may be rare or the help of specialists who understand vintage systems. Over years, that kind of care can add up in cost. Outside, the home setting demands its upkeep. The pentagon-shaped pool is a striking feature, but pools are never cheap. In a desert environment, water evaporation is high, and pool surfaces and pumps must be maintained carefully. The patio terraces, stone walls, and desert landscaping must also be looked after. Plantings need care in the hot sun, irrigation must be managed, and hardscape rebuilt or sealed over time. Insurance for a hillside lot with a pool is often more expensive too. Risk from exposure, potential structural stress, and liability all play a role. Now imagine that the house is sold fully furnished, as it often is. That's charming, but it also brings responsibility. Vintage furniture pieces, curved mid-century sofas, rare tables, lamps, are part of the home's identity, but each piece may need restoration, reupholstery, or even conservation. And while a collector may love that, a new homeowner may feel overwhelmed. There is also liability. Antique furniture can be fragile, and if guests stay, there's risk of damage. For a buyer, that means balancing two mindsets, the conservator and the modern resident. A conservator is someone who cares deeply about preserving original design, materials, and spirit. They will gladly take on restoration tasks, appreciate the craftsmanship, and possibly bring in experts. A modern buyer, however, may want more convenience, less upkeep, and might not want to deal with vintage pieces or historic maintenance budgets. Bridging that gap can be difficult. The home demands not only money, but heart, commitment, and a willingness to care for history. However, another surprising reason no one wants to buy the house is because it was tied to Elvis Presley. The weight of that name, fame's hidden cost. Owning a house that once sheltered Elvis brings prestige, but it also brings constant attention, and that attention can be exhausting, even for a masterpiece. Because this is Elvis's honeymoon home, it's inherently a tourist magnet. Fans and design lovers drive by, take photos, hover outside, and sometimes wander near the property. For a homeowner seeking privacy and peace, that can be unsettling. The idea of quiet evenings or private poolside moments comes with the risk of being watched, admired, or even interrupted. Beyond casual tourists, the house often appears on celebrity home tours. During Palm Springs Modernism Week, it becomes one of the highlights. A design icon and a story wrapped up in rock and roll romance. That makes it less of a private home and more of a pilgrimage site. Such attention can feel like living in a glass case, not always in design, but emotionally. Some potential buyers don't want to live in a museum. They want to feel secure behind doors that are just theirs, not part of a historic attraction. They may worry about traffic, about strangers peering in, about their privacy being sacrificed. This is not a low-profile desert retreat. It's a landmark, and landmarks bring a kind of public ownership. Then there's the idea of turning the home into a small business. Short-term rentals or event venues. On paper, it seems perfect. History, design, pool, views. But Palm Springs has strict rules. The city's vacation rental regulations limit how many short-term rental stays a home can host each year. There's a cap on neighborhood permits, making commercial use difficult and uncertain. Even for permitted rentals, there are rules. Contracts, safety inspections, local contacts, and strict limits on stays. For a homeowner, that means more than maintaining a home. It means operating within rules, managing guest flows, and balancing the desire for income with respect for the legacy. Because of these restrictions and the weight of fame, some investors may balk. A buyer might want to monetize the house, but they cannot rely on unlimited short-term lets or wild events. The neighborhood or the city may resist heavy tourist use, and turning the home into a business risks damaging both the property and its soul. However, this is not the only reason why no one wants to buy the house. How the market shapes the fate of a legend. Timing is one of the most powerful forces in real estate. Even the most beautiful or iconic homes can sit unsold if the wider market is shifting. Elvis's Honeymoon Hideaway is a perfect example of how broader economic patterns and regional cycles can slow down a sale, even when the home itself is historic, restored, and visually unforgettable. After the global pandemic, wealthy buyers flooded warm weather regions. Palm Springs, with its desert sun and famous mid-century architecture, became a top destination. Many people wanted second homes with space, privacy, and style. Demand grew quickly and prices rose. For a while, luxury homes sold fast, and the high-end market was full of energy. But that phase changed. Interest rates climbed, borrowing became more expensive, and the cost of carrying a large second home increased. Even buyers who can afford multi-million-dollar properties pay attention when financial pressure builds. High rates signal caution. Wealthy buyers take longer to decide, compare options carefully, and think more seriously about long-term value. They look past the glamour and focus on practical questions: energy costs, taxes, insurance, maintenance, and resale potential. These economic forces shape how people view a house like Elvis's. It is a one-of-a-kind architectural piece, but also a home with specific needs, unique features, and high upkeep. In a stable or rising market, collectors jump quickly to secure a rare gem. In a slower, more careful market, they pause, The hesitation is not because the home is flawed. It is because the market is more restrained. Palm Springs itself has clear cycles. Demand grows in cooler months, eases in hotter months, and rises again when collectors travel during major design events. Inventory moves in waves. There are times when luxury homes vanish fast, and times when even great houses sit quietly. Analysts of the region point out that in recent years, the luxury segment remains strong but not overheated. Homes take longer to sell. Buyers want confidence before committing. Sellers must adjust to a market that expects patience. Another major influence is the shift in what buyers want from a second home. During the pandemic, people wanted large houses where they could stay for long periods. Now, many wealthy buyers prefer smaller spaces that are easier to maintain. Some want lock-and-leave convenience. Others want strong rental flexibility. But the Hideaway is not designed as a casual retreat. It is a large, sculptural mid-century home with custom details and historic features that cannot simply be swapped out for modern replacements. That reduces the pool of people looking specifically for this type of property. Then there is the issue of single-use design. Homes like this one, built with circular rooms, dramatic glass walls, oversized living spaces, and signature details, offer unforgettable beauty, but not everyone wants such bold style for daily life. Luxury buyers today look for adaptability. Office space, guest space, flexible layouts. A highly artistic floor plan is stunning, but less universal, which means fewer people feel like it fits their lifestyle. In addition, Palm Springs attracts many part-time residents. They may love the region's sunshine, but do not want a large vintage home with special maintenance needs. They often choose newer builds with simpler systems, modern insulation, attached garages, and lower energy costs. This trend affects sales for mid-century homes that require deep care. All these patterns come together to create a situation where a famous home enters the market at a moment when buyers are slower, more cautious, and more selective. The home is still extraordinary, but the buying climate has shifted. Luxury markets move in waves, periods of strong demand followed by periods of reflection. The Hideaway just happens to be listed at a time when buyers are thinking carefully, calculating costs, and comparing the promise of a legendary home with the comfort of simpler, more modern choices. And yet, even with the market's caution, there are still buyers who would stop at nothing to claim this home as their own. Counter-arguments and possible buyers. While many buyers hesitate because of market timing and practical concerns, there is another side to the story. Some people would absolutely buy Elvis's Honeymoon Hideaway, not despite its uniqueness, but because of it. These buyers look beyond risk. They see possibility, beauty, and meaning. One major group is preservationist collectors. These people treat architecture as art. They collect homes the way others collect sculptures or paintings. They value originality, craftsmanship, and cultural history. A mid-century masterpiece with a clear architectural lineage is exactly the sort of treasure they want. For them, restoring a home is not a burden, but a privilege. They enjoy bringing a historic structure back to life, preserving its details, and protecting its story. This home, with its curved stone walls, dramatic layout, and Elvis connection, is a jewel for someone who loves architectural heritage. Another group is deep mid-century modern enthusiasts. These are people who adore the Palm Springs look. The geometry, the glass, the floating planes, the indoor-outdoor lifestyle. They often search for pure, untouched examples of the era. A home that still carries the spirit of 1960, with its innovation and optimism, is worth every effort. For them, the round living space, sunburst roof, and futuristic layout are not just interesting features, they are dreams made real. Then there are boutique hospitality investors. These buyers specialize in unique stays. They look for places with personality, charm, and a built-in narrative. Elvis's home, with its story and design, offers something they cannot find in typical resorts. Even with short-term rental limits, a boutique buyer might see potential in curated experiences, film shoots, brand partnerships, or private retreats. Another group is media, film, and branding buyers. These buyers see the house as a backdrop and a character. 4. Creative industries. A location like this can be used again and again for projects, image licensing, and storytelling. The home has visual power. It speaks of a specific era. It carries emotional weight. For them, architecture is not only a living space, but a resource. Some celebrity homes have sold at very high prices because they attracted these kinds of buyers. People who wanted privacy, historical value, location, and a sense of ownership over something rare. In those cases, the key ingredients were a clear identity, a unique architectural form, and the chance to care for something meaningful. The Hideaway offers all of these ingredients. Still, there are ways to broaden the buyer pool even more. A lower asking price would attract design lovers who sit just below the highest tier of the luxury market. Offering the home without all the vintage furniture would appeal to families who want to customize their living spaces. Another option would be allowing a buyer to update some areas while keeping key historic features intact, creating a blend of preservation and comfort. And if certain usage rules were eased, investors who want small-scale events or curated stays might enter the picture. However, one question still remains. What does the future hold for this remarkable home, and who will finally step forward to claim it?